Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden and welcome to the great onion harvest of 2022. So I believe my onions are ready to harvest, and I want to kind of show you why I think that. Let me grab the camera. Alright, so when we look at the onions, what you're looking for is onions that have flopped over, like that onion right there. Alright, you see it's already flopped over. And then you see another one back over here, and yeah, I got a ton of weeds in here. You can see that one is also flopped over. Alright, but one of the other issues is if you look at these onions here, you can see even though I've got onions in the ground, the tops have all died back. So I've seen this happen before, and if I don't get them out of the ground, like I did last year, I left them sit in the ground too long, then some of them will start to sprout up like this one and that one, which this whole row seemed to have started sprouting. I'm not really sure why. We did have kind of a weird weather winter. A weird winter for weather? I don't know. At any rate, so this year, I've got 3 different varieties here. And let's see what they are here, make sure I get it right. One was the Violetta Digami, and that's the ones that are flowering and putting on seed already. The other one was the flat Unzen, or Unzen flat, which is this variety here in the second row. And they did alright. I've already harvested some. And then the last one was the Texas early grano onion. Now, one of the things about onions, and I talked about this in my planting video, is that you want to get the short day onions, which all of these are the short day onions, when you're down here in the 9A area. But there is a substantial difference in the growth pattern between the different onions. And I'll show you that here in a second once we get them all harvested. Okay, so I think the easiest way to go about harvesting onions is to get you your potato fork and just basically go under and lift. Now, I do want to look at this, like especially here where they don't seem to be growing great. When I get down in there, there is plenty of moisture in the soil. So I don't understand why so many onions came out so small. Not really sure. Maybe because I don't fertilize, but that's only part of it, because these onions over here did very well and these did not. I did try and make sure that all of the soil had plenty of moisture, and you can see there's still enough moisture that the dirt is still clinging on to the onions, so that means there's moisture in the soil for it to go after. But you compare these to the other ones I have over here, and there's just no comparison. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest these all up. I'm going to put them all in a pile, and we'll take a look at which one is which. Alright, let me get to work. Alright, so that's the total harvest right there of all my onions, which I got to say is pretty good. I'm actually very pleased. Alright, but I want to show you these. These are the Violetta Digami onions. Okay, and you can see they all came up very, very small. I mean, I had a lot of them grow, and I planted the same amount in each row. So they grew well, but didn't grow large. And then for some reason, a lot of them, you can see, have got the flowers growing, and I'm not really sure why they started to flower. They were all planted from seed at the same time. Next is the Unzen flats. Okay, now the Unzen flat did fairly well, did a lot better than the Violetta Digami. You can see there's some larger ones back here in the back. And I have harvested a couple, like 4 or 5 of these that started to flop over, so I went ahead and harvested them early. But then there's the Texas early grano onions. Okay. Now those, by far and large, were the better of the bunch. I mean, so many larger onions. You can see the ones back here in the back. Got very large and should be very good for storage. All right. A lot of good sized onions in there. Overall weight, overall weight wise, I don't think there's any comparison. So the Texas Early Grano did much better than the Unzen. The Unzen did much better than the Violet Digami. And now, to be fair, they are in the same order from left to right here. Okay. So did I have better soil as we got closer to the center of the garden? That's a possibility. I can't tell you that for sure because I use compost and I mix it in liberally. Maybe there was more compost at this end. Now I know that onions take a good amount of water, so I've tried to keep this spot well watered throughout, and you can see that the weed coverage is pretty much the same overall. So I don't know that it was a water thing. I really can't tell you for sure what it is. Alright, so I've gone ahead and weighed them all, and for the least productive variety, which is the Violet Digami, Violet Digami, that one produced 1.8 pounds of onion. Now that's including tops and dirt and all that. Alright, and then for the Unzen Flat, I've got 2.1, but I got another, I think 5 onions, so I'm going to call that one 3.1. I think I got at least another pound worth of onions. I got some really big ones out, and we've eaten some, and then we've also dried a few. Alright, and then for the Texas Early Grano onions, I got 6.0 pounds. That's this bunch right here. Okay, now these packages I want to say cost me $3.50 each, thereabouts, and I've got probably half a package of seed left. I've definitely got enough to do the same thing again next year. Alright, and all of these. Got plenty of onion seed left over. So if you split my $3.50, so that'd make it what, $10.50. So if we split that in half and make it $5, and right now onions are going for around $1 a pound. They range from $2.99 a pound all the way up to $3.88 a pound at Walmart. Now that's not organic, as mine are. They're not grown in my backyard, as mine are. Okay, so overall cost, I would say, is around $5 for around $1 a pound, for around $10 of production. Now, is that a great return on your money? Well, I mean, if you could get 50% on the money that you put into the bank or into a stock, you would consider it a bang-up job. All right, so yes, I think that is well within the parameters of what I think is a profitable operation. And then you add to that I've given my neighbor a bunch of onions when they were still small. I gave my daughter a whole bunch of onions so she could plant onions when they were still small. And then I've also got several spots in the food forest where I just stuck some extra onions. I had too many onions to plant. I mean, I planted way too many. And with the spacing that I needed, it was too much. So I stuck a bunch out there in the food forest. I've got some growing up in my shade garden you see back behind me. They're taking their sweet time, as I kind of figured they would. They're really not there so much to hopefully grow onions as they are just to be a deterrent to pests. So, but all in all, this is a fantastic yield on my seeds. And this goes back to, I'll link the video I just did about how you don't have to spend a lot of money on growing food. So, I mean, if you add in the labor cost, obviously that's going to change things dramatically. But when you start looking at just what it cost me to produce these onions, and my own labor being free, and to be fair, it really isn't a lot of labor to the onions. I mean, you pretty much fire them and forget them and then water them once in a while. Now, as far as the varieties, again, I had a very large difference between the variety production. Now, I don't know whether or not that was a compost thing. I do know that last year, where the Texas Grano onions are, I had put tomatoes, if I'm not mistaken. That was a tomato row, and I had composted that fairly heavily. So I think that could be part of the reason why they did so much better. And what I will do is, when I do this again next year, I'm going to move them to a different spot. I'm going to compost it heavily, stir the compost in real well, and then we'll try again. And we'll use the same varieties again next year to see how it comes out. But either way, like I said, the bottom line here is that it is a profitable operation to grow your own food, if you do it wisely and if you don't spend a lot of money. I didn't spend any money on fertilizer. Compost was all free because I made it here in my backyard. The labor was free because it's something I enjoy doing. I like going out and puttering around in the garden. So all in all, it was, you know, a profitable operation. And that's what I'm trying to tell you about growing your own food. You can save money growing your own food. Now, had I spent $50 on fertilizer for that plot, or even $5 for fertilizer, that would dramatically change the equation. If I spent $5 on fertilizer and $5 on insecticide, and, you know, another $20 in infrastructure to get it growing by using, you know, some sort of automatic watering system, that would change the math again dramatically. So, you know, you got to kind of watch what you spend if you want to grow economically. Now, what do organic onions cost? I don't know. I know that, I want to say we went to a farm and bought an onion, or they wanted like $4 per onion. I mean, one nice big onion, they were bigger than this, but a nice big onion like that cost around $4 for an organic farm out in Tampa, which seems like a lot for a single onion. Because, you know, you might have a pound in a really large onion. I don't know. I guess I could weigh one of my bigger ones here. Man, that's heavy. Get some of these back in here. Yeah, so my biggest onion is maybe half a pound. That's the largest one I've got. They had them a bit larger than this though, so they might have gone a full pound. But again, you're talking $4.50 a pound versus, you know, $1 a pound at Walmart. So at those prices, at the organic farm prices, man, I made a killing. All right. So highly recommend growing your own food wherever you can. Even something as simple as onion. I mean, that's, you know, it's not a huge amount depending on how much you eat onion. But even that small amount is a substantial amount towards saving yourself a little bit of money. Then you throw in all the rest of the stuff I've got growing. I mean, you can really save a lot of money if you'll eat what you grow. All right, so that's the great onion harvest of 2022. Hopefully it was informative to you. Hopefully you got some idea of what it's going to cost and what the rewards might be. And we'll have to figure out why, you know, they didn't grow as well this year. As far as when to harvest, when you start seeing a flop over, here in Florida, last year and this year, I've noticed that some will flop and some won't. And yeah, I might have gotten them a little bit bigger had I let them grow a little bit longer, but you see a lot of onions that the tops were either dead or dying. So, you know, that one is flopping, but like this one is not yet flopping, and it was down to that. There was still moisture in the soil, so I don't think it was a moisture thing. A lot of these that I took out for the Texas Granos might still have grown, but you can see a lot of browning on the tops. And like I said, I know I kept them wet because even when I pulled them out, the soil was still moist underneath. So not really sure what caused all that. But again, I'm not looking for perfection, I'm looking for production. So all in all, a huge success. I'm very pleased. And we should have onions to eat for, I mean, probably, I want to say that the average storage length, if you store them well, is around 6 months on a well-cured onion. All right? All right, well, thanks once again for stopping by. Do me a favor, give me a like and a subscribe, and let me know what you think. But most importantly, grow something. Because you know what? You can save yourself a lot of money by growing your own food. All right, y'all take care and come back and see me. Hey everybody, for a little bonus track here on the onion harvest, I'm going to show you what I do to cure them. So all I do is take them, the onion stalks and all, and just lay them out on my little rack here. Now what this rack is is this is an old hockey table, air hockey table. Alright, and on top of that I've got the wire racks that you find in your closets. And you can see about the dirt and stuff. This is my normal work surface where I do most of my work out here. And so I'm just going to take them and I'm going to lay them out here on the table. And then what will happen, they'll start to dry out like this one has. And then once that is completely dry and no longer moist, right? Once this is completely dry and no longer moist, then they should be a well dried and preserved onion. And I'll take and I'll trim back the roots because I want them to dry as well. I'll trim back the top and then it'll go up in the pantry for storage. Now I know a lot of people like to lay them in the grass first before they lay them out to dry. Give them like 3 days in the sun. It's just my belief I've got too many critters in my yard to be doing that. So I am not going to do that this time. Alright, so there you go. That's the 2022 onion harvest. Not bad. All in all, I'm very pleased. Y'all take care. Come back to see me.